What is up, players? It's Warboss Tay back up in this mug. Today we're taking a look at the Loonboss on Giant Cave Squig for the Gloomspite Gits faction for Age of Sigmar. And here we go, right on the box art. Immediately you can see that it's a fun looking cartoony figure, a black robed little goblin guy with a spear charging forward, hanging on for dear life as his little bits fly in the wind behind him. And then there you've got the cave squig itself, just a huge, funny, cartoony looking guy. And you've even got at the bottom a little moon-faced spider. So what's that about? Let's take a look at him. There's some close-up detail on the face. Love that detail. It reminds me of the artwork for the 90s Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. Used to have a lot of very like demonic looking artwork in it, and that kind of takes me back to it. I like the different colors. You've got that obvious pop of red, and then the little goblin guy. His skin, you can see they've gone further and further away from the bright neon moot green look, that cartoony, vibrant pastel green, and they're going more for a muted green with a lot of beige and light brown accents to it. So I guess that's okay, but you're not going to really get that pop that you used to see from the old Warhammer Fantasy Goblin armies. Gosh, remember just how radioactive green those little guys were. I like the detail on the spear shaft there of the white checkers on the wood. I don't think that's something that you can replicate very easily, but it is something if you want to try your hand at getting really fancy with your paint job, you can do that. I think a more basic thing that anybody could do pretty easily is the little flames on top, which I will teach in my upcoming tutorial. You can also do some very nice looking checker patterns. Basic checkering is not too bad when it's on a flat surface like this knee pad, but doing it on that spear shaft, that takes talent, and that takes just not even talent, but perseverance. You got to keep doing this technique over and over, painting that very mathematical, precise looking graphic onto a curved surface like that. So kudos, of course, as always, to the heavy metal artists. They've really done a great job with this. I mean, just look at that detail. It just looks so cool. And the fact that the tongue goes from the red of its skin to a lighter pink is really awesome. Most cave squig tongues you see are like a really dark purple to contrast with the skin tones. But when I do my guy up, I'm going to be trying to paint him to replicate the box cover, so anybody who wants to follow my tutorial can get a pretty good replication, a pretty good looking copycat. All right, enough gawking at the art. Let's take a look at the sprues. What do you get in the box? Well, you get one sprue. You get a smaller base than I would have imagined, but I guess it's a round base that's a little bit bigger than infantry. Like I would compare it to, is this a 40 millimeter? I'd compare it maybe to a Terminator. And then you get your instructions. A Terminator Space Marine, for those of you who are new to the hobby, are on similar size base. Yeah, interesting. So because he's a character, I just thought his base would have been a little bit larger than this one, but okay. Yeah, read through. Okay, let's go. So you've got in different languages, you've got the stats in the back. We can just very lightly look through this first. It has all of your information for when you're going to be running him, the different options and the different special rules and statistics. So that's good. And then you've got the instructions itself. Very simple. Looks like it comes together really easily, and there's only one option. That's whether or not you want to give your Loonboss the curved moon choppy bit or the spear. See, I used to know what all of these weapons were called back when I was doing these videos. I'd be like, oh yeah, that's a scimitar. Oh yeah, that's a cutlass. Oh yeah, that's a... Oh man, I've lost my touch. I gotta get back into my military, medieval, fantasy, make-believe weaponry. So I think that's a cool bit, but definitely for the lines and the look of the model, I would go with the box cover of, I mean, yeah, you don't see any artwork of the Games Workshop model holding the sword. So definitely the spear is the way to go. Make him look like he's just a crazy bounding like knight goblin. Knight goblin. Oh boy. And yeah, everything looks like it comes together pretty simply. Like I said, the good thing about not having really any options is that you are always going to get a good fit. Everything's going to fit real nice because they are being very economical with the amount of pieces you get. So they don't have to worry about pieces fitting differently and having a different line or a look. So I'm really looking forward to it. I really like this guy, this little guy right here. Let's take a look at him on the sprue. So we will zoom in and take a look at this Squig part first. So the body is that beautiful, like Games Workshop's modeling is, it looks so great. And the way it looks like the skin is just stretched over the body. And then you've got the different surfaces. So I always like looking at the surfaces, what kind of textures you're going to be painting. So right here, just on this leg alone, you've got a little peek at the skin, a little peek at his leg, woo woo, and then his robe, the cloth of the robe with some folds. Nice, beautiful folds right there, like two small little folds that you wouldn't even see on a Night Goblin or like a high elf figure from just, 5 years ago. Then you've got the metal of his armor, his foot armor, the Grinch shoe, and little rivets on the side and everything. So I love the detail they're putting into these models now. And what is this? Is this his... I think that's like his... Is his helmet? I'm sure. And there's the Squig head with the eyes. He looks like my dog! He looks like a Pekingese. Cute. There's the little spider. Oh, it's so weird. Having a little spider with a moon head on it. Kind of weird mutated madness is that. It's only got 4 legs too. It's not even a proper spider. So weird. Okay, what else can we see? There's the Loonboss's face. His features look pretty standard to what you would get for like a goblin. But I do like the detail with the upturned nose. And I think obviously that's going to go into the armor, so you can kind of see where the detail goes a little bit missing. But just even the musculature on the face looks really nicely done. The Squig's got some little pimples. But just look at the different style and the way they sculpted the pimples and the boils on the legs. Like everything has purpose. They're all different and they're all individual. Just looking at such a simple and concept model, right? A little goblin in armor charging on a giant ball of muscle and teeth. But they really took their time in figuring out, like, okay, where are we going to put all the little lines on his tongue, and which way, how's the curve and the shape of the tongue going to look? Really nice. And it's got little shackles on its feet. And there's the weapon. So since we know we're going to be using the spear, let's take a look just really quickly at the curved sword just to see the difference. Look at the armor. It looks so cool. He's got little armor bits on it and on him and little rivets. And even the iron of the weapon itself looks like a very beaten iron with different curves and shapes to the surface. So you could tell that it's meant to look like just very rough. Right, these guys are not really good at making their own weapons, so everything looks crude, and man, it just looked. I love the artistry that goes into these models. I call myself Warboss Tay, you guys, because I really did fall in love with the old Orc and Goblin and Space Orcs range. I thought they were so inventive and creative, and the things you could do when you're painting them up and when you're kit bashing and converting them, they were just so much fun. So my Christmas gift to you guys is going to be this early Christmas gift. One of them. I'm going to build up this cave squig and we're going to paint him up because it's Christmas time, red and green. So we'll see if we can do a battle standard tutorial, like get him on the table. And then one more for a little bit higher level, a little bit more detail. But right now we're just going to build him up. And the key to building this guy up, I think, because we're going to be using spray primers, and if you're using an airbrush, this is also pretty helpful, I think, is to build it up in sub-assemblies. That means we're going to build the squig on his base, and then let me just double check that this is possible. We are not going to glue on the rider. See, look, the rider comes separate. So what we're going to do is we're going to build the squig. We're going to build his base. We're going to spray prime the whole thing black when we're ready to go, just so that we get the primer here on the spider and the mushroom base. And then we're going to spray prime the squig in red. And meanwhile, we're going to keep our Loonboss separate so we can spray prime him in black as well. That way, we don't have to worry about having red undertones in the Goblin, and we don't have to worry about having more than one layer of colored primer on our squig. So stay tuned, you guys. I will be right back with the finished model, and we'll wrap up this video. All right, everybody, we're back, and here is the squig, the giant cave squig. He came together really well. There are a few seams. You can see where the bodies are joined together. The halves of the body are joined. I didn't realize this. The little bunched up skin there is the Loonboss holding on for dear life, bunching up his skin and just holding on to it because he's not going to be in a saddle. It's hilarious. It came together really well. I love the crazy haphazard nature of it. And for some reason, it really does look like my dog. I don't know why that facial expression just reminds me so much of my Pekingese. I love, look at the little squig butt. I love the kind of carefree bounding momentum of the figure. It's so it looks so top heavy. It's just a ball of muscle and mass and teeth, and it's just jumping forward to bite you. And I love the look of it. The spider I decided to build up, and there's no real direction you have to face him in, so I decided to make him look like he's scuttling forward and to the left, whereas the cave squig is kind of bouncing straight forward. And just the different angles I think is going to make it an interesting model to look at. So that is him, and here is the Loonboss that goes on top of him with the glue still drying. I didn't notice this when because they don't show it on the box. If you take a look at the box art, there's no way to really see this, but the way he's hunched over, the way he's holding his spear, he's not holding it tucked under his elbow straight forward. The spear itself is at an angle. And I don't know if that's the way that it's designed or if that's just the way it glued together for me, but there was no real way for me to angle that spear a little bit more straight front facing as a knight on a charging steed would look. I still think it looks great how it's crossed in front of his body. It's an interesting line to look at, combined with he's kind of looking straight forward, but the squig, he's looking in the same direction that the squig is. Little spider here is going a little bit towards the left. The spear is aiming towards the left. I think it balances everything out really nicely. I love how there is no saddle. He's hanging on for dear life to this bunched up bit of squig skin, and I think this is such a fantastic model. So this model you can buy on its own. It also comes in the Battle Force for the 2020 Christmas season, Games Workshop Battle Force for the Gloomspite Gits. If you're watching this video sometime in the future and want to just see what the model looks like unboxed and built up, then I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks so much for watching, you guys. If you would like to join my Discord, I'm going to leave the link below, as well as a link to the Patreon if you'd like to support my studio, and hopefully we can paint this guy up. So thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.